Are you feeling off or maybe have felt somewhat disconnected over the past few weeks? Maybe not all at once, but in short bursts of time? There's been an incredible ramp up of the vibrational energetics, and it's already starting to affect everyone in a variety of ways. So if you're feeling it, I will do my best to explain what's been going on. Of course, everyone is unique and vibrating at different frequencies. However, when the energetics begin resonating within, through, and around us, we share a common bond. And that, my friends, is great change. So everyone around me this week seems to be asking the same question, since feeling off is somewhat of an understatement in the scheme of things. Is it the solar flares and the CMEs? Is it a timeline issue? A weather issue? Is it an ascension symptom? Is it the eclipse energy, or is it a result of bad guys out to get us? Well, for anyone who knows me, my answer will be yes, it's all of the above. So you can certainly understand why feeling uncomfortable or even squirrely at best is an ongoing challenge that we have to navigate right now. We are officially on the new circus ride that spins and tumbles and flips and flops, moves up and down, and honestly at a variety of speeds. Now, I used to call it a multi-dimensional quantum chessboard that was kind of alive and moving while you actually played the game. However, that doesn't even do it justice anymore, because it seems to be complicated but not complicated enough. So here we are. As you might remember from my past updates, I have talked about trigger points within our cosmic realm amidst kind of being entangled in the frequencies of the electrical grid structure, or matrix, as many of you might call it. The timelines have actually been shifting back and forth very, very rapidly. And I will give you an update on my most recent experience with that, but I want to remind everyone that this crazy scenario, no matter what your belief system is in health, in politics, bad guys, good guys, and so on, is actually why we are here right now. We all made the choice to come here at this specific juncture in time to ensure the truth and all aspects of the soul self, as well as the soul of humanity, would rise up into its full potential. Consciousness is rising quickly across the entire planet, and the earth is calling upon us, her caretakers, to evolve and become one with the rest of the universal construct. Okay, so are we here to save the earth? Well, not exactly. The earth herself isn't the one that needs any saving. She is much more powerful than any of us at this stage of the game, and she will transition to her own higher state with or without us. So technically, she can self-heal quickly, easily, all on her own. However, moving ourselves into a place of responsibility as a collective human civilization, and how to break free of the things that bind us, to shift into wholeness, experience love in its pure form as us. This is something only we can do. And that critical hour has arrived. Hi everyone, my name is Tam. I'm an energy intuitive and have been helping people heal around the world for over 20 years. Today, I'm excited to share empowering information that will support your wellness journey and help you raise your vibrational frequency. I will give you an update on where we are at from a planetary perspective and give you a few tips on how to balance those incoming energies in your body. Now, if you're just joining us for the first time, this is part 4 of our Fall 2024 Energy Update series, and our discussion on building up our personal health preparedness kit, which I've been told will be incredibly important in the coming weeks and months, but for many, it is actually needed right now. Now, if you haven't watched parts 1 through 3, please consider pausing the video and doing so before you watch today's message. It will help you understand what I'm discussing and will give you the initial foundations of what we're building here and why the information is so critical at this juncture of time. Each video has different pieces of information to help you understand how to build your personal health kit. The critical foundations I've been asked by my higher team to share with you is specifically designed to help prepare our physical, mental, and emotional bodies for the things that we might all be encountering. Now, let me reiterate here that this is not to prepare for anything out of fear. This is a high consciousness-based prep kit to help you understand your own power, and that by knowing some of the basic tools that you already have access to, most of them being absolutely free, you can support yourself and family during the potential challenges ahead. Therefore, there will not only be no need for fear, but you'll be able to help teach this to your friends and neighbors if and when they need some additional guidance. Now, as many have heard me say before, if this resonates with you, that's really great. But if it doesn't, I'm absolutely okay with that. I totally understand it. All of us are here for a very different experience and have our unique journey to learn from, even when everything is going on around us. So, what message is meant for one may not be meant for all, so please use your discernment and only keep what feels right for you. Now, in this week's video, I'm going to talk about high-frequency essential oils and certain supplements that you will want to be aware of to help you cleanse those interesting things out of your body that some of the doctors have been finding in people across the world over the past few years. Now, if you aren't sure what I'm talking about here, I will let you know where to find more information. So if you are only listening on audio right now, you might want to view the video for a few moments so you can get additional details from the screen, as I will be listing them in another place. They won't be here. Now, I know that there is quite a bit of new information coming in from several natural doctors around the world right now, and many do not see eye to eye on some of the controversial supplements that are being mentioned. So all I want to say about that is to use your own discernment as you make choices for you and your family. As an example of this, one product is used to help chelate the blood, which helps clean heavy metals out of the body. Now, for some, this can be a magical answer and very, very effective, but it may cause concerns for others. So always feel things out first. Do your research. Talk to your own natural doctor about it. Make sure that you feel your kidneys and other body parts kind of agree in some form or fashion to ensure that you aren't compromising your system further. If you've never come across how to get answers from your own body, just look up kinesiology testing online. You can do a Google search. You can go on to YouTube. A lot of people call this muscle testing as well, so you could just look for that and learn how to do that yourself to kind of help you identify what might be appropriate for you, okay? Now, before we get into more of that, let's talk about timelines for a quick moment. I understand that many of you who've been studying the subject of timelines for a while might actually have much to say on the subject, and after all, there is quite a bit to talk about, but I want to make sure that new folks coming across this information have a chance to make sense of these things. After all, we are all in this together, and more people will be finding information that will not just be new to them, but very confusing, especially in the next few months. So I want to keep it simple for now. Now, I did talk about this in the past updates and gave some analogies like changing the TV channel or radio dial, but I realized that I could probably simplify it even more for those that are truly coming across this type of information for the very first time. Now, for those wanting to get into the science behind this or learn more about the subject itself, you can easily do an online search for a variety of theories on this. And there really are, a lot of really great videos out there. People have done some really good work from the quantum side as well as just the philosophical side of these things. So I would say go for it, have some fun, do some digging, see what you find so that you can make your own decisions on what is truth for you. But I thought this might help since many people are already starting to experience some of these things that are making people honestly question their sanity, so to speak. So let's just kind of take a beat for a moment so we can gain a little bit more definition. Okay, so I'm going to try and make this really third grader friendly since a lot of the kids out there are going to possibly experience this first. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that they are usually much more in tune than those of us adults, especially the very young ones. So the good news with that is if you're questioning reality and have a little one around you, you could probably ask them what's going on and they might surprise you with a very interesting answer. You might get more truth there than probably anywhere else you look. All right, so imagine that you're reading a storybook out loud to a child. And every time you read it, the author has a side note that says, hey, pick a flavor of ice cream. Insert that choice in the story, like picking chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla. So no matter what you choose, some things in the story will have to change. So an example of that might be if 3 pages down into that story, the ice cream gets dropped and leaves a stain, the color of the stain will have to change. So you're not just making a choice of chocolate or strawberry, vanilla. Now you have to change a few other things in that storyline, right? So if you choose chocolate, the stain's going to be brown. If you choose strawberry, then obviously you will have a pink stain. Basically, what happens here is that your story splits into a different path. One path is where you chose chocolate, and the other path is where you chose strawberry. Both stories happen at the same time, just in a different world. The story itself did not change in its entirety. It's just the choice of one thing that was different. But since there is now a second choice, that means there has to be a second version of the story, whether more changes happen or not. So maybe the color of the stain is the only difference. But what if the original story was written around a child who always ate chocolate ice cream because he was allergic to strawberry? Well, then as soon as that strawberry flavor was chosen, there would more than likely be a bigger change to the script than a simple color stain. It might actually change everything, and a whole new script would have to be written because someone had an allergic reaction. Well, what happened? The multiple timeline theory, which, by the way, is also called the many worlds theory, says that for every choice or action, a new world is created where something different happens. It's like a bunch of different versions of the same world, all happening at once, but we can only see the one that we're actually in. So similar to what I talked about in the last update, where I mentioned the Mandela Effect, which, if you haven't caught up with that, is a popularized phenomenon in which a group of people collectively remember or misremember facts and events or other details that are different from another person's memory. Now, please look this up if you're unaware, but basically my understanding is that what we call the Mandela Effect is really more of a timeline change than anything else. So while we might call something a Mandela Effect, it's really a marker that shows that we change timelines in the midst of whatever we're talking about. So when someone says, I remember growing up with Jif peanut butter in the cupboard, and someone else says, no, it wasn't called Jif, it was called Jiffy. Who's right? Well, technically both are. And for those that aren't familiar with the Jiffy peanut butter thing, it was actually noted as a Mandela Effect. So if you can look it up online or if you're curious, there's tons of things like that. that will actually keep you entertained for hours, quite frankly. But if you're looking for something to do, go for it. So the reason I'm actually bringing this to your attention again has to do with several things that are popping in and out of our reality right now. And they are already getting more intense. So I'm being shown that we are in a constant flux between timelines right now based on all of the choices that people are making around the world as we begin shifting back and forth. Now, this was expected from what I understand, but it does cause certain realities to become somewhat unstable. And while I have mentioned this prior to a degree, I am being told that the high frequencies will begin to cause a variety of major timeline swings that will be much more intense than we originally thought. Now, please remember, I'm talking energetics here. I'm not implying that intensities become more negative, just more noticeable. Now, kind of a side note, I will tell you, we did have to deal with an anomaly right in the middle of the eclipse frequencies during the first week of October. I have been told it should not happen again, as it has kind of caused an intervention from the divine, if you will, or source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, on our behalf, because it was not a known or planned event. There are universal laws around this kind of thing. But it appears there was a group that did tamper with the timelines and created what I would call a fake one. At least that's what I was shown. It was not a real timeline, but someone tampered with it enough to create a fake one that lasted about 24 to 35 hours, right in that marker of time. So if you could not sleep during that time for a couple of nights around the eclipse, which would have been that first week of October, the Tuesday, Wednesday, during the first of the month, or maybe you even felt kind of, if you look back, you might have felt really weird or wired backwards even, extra dizzy, people were angry or really irritable. People are normally very, very cool, calm, and collected. This was affecting so many people. And I know I went through this, but if you were dropping things or feeling nauseated, maybe even a flu-like symptom kind of popping in and then popping out again, this was actually more than likely the reason that was happening. Now, I am being shown that we shouldn't quite have those kinds of experiences moving forward, but to be aware that if you do start feeling any kinds of these symptoms, head to your prep kit and do something on the list that we've kind of started with kind of in part one, meditate, do some grounding work, go for something with a higher frequency. And what I'm being told is that those things will help mitigate the issue. So reach for a high frequency something, whatever the easiest is for you. All right, so let's move beyond the timeline scenario and go into some of the other things to expect in the coming months and into 2025. I am seeing that the breaking apart of the healthcare and financial system will begin to become very obvious. Now, we will begin to see potential delays and issues in almost every sector of business, including politics. Here in the US, we will certainly see the dismantling increase quite quickly. And if the weather machines haven't created enough distraction, kind of, over the next few weeks, there will be an increase of intensity from those who do not want peace. So, while I'm not going to discuss that here, I have been shown that our health will be in the forefront again, which I know is why I'm being asked to get this out for anyone who's looking to empower their own self-healing. Now, once again, this has nothing to do with fear. I'm going to keep saying that because I know I need to remind some folks out there. Knowing these things ahead of time is truly about empowering ourselves now, so we are calm and strong if and when the choice for chocolate ice cream changes to raspberry ripple, or more appropriately probably called, we'll just say rocky road. When we prepare, to the best of our ability anyway, we can focus forward. When we know a monsoon is on the way and our home is in a flood zone, we'll know if our home is stable enough to actually take the hit. If we need to get materials to fix it ahead of time, or if we're going to need to board up the windows, or we might have to make a choice to just completely move out of the way of that storm, pack the car, and get the heck out of town. So only you will know what to do. All of us need to just be aware. That's all it is. It's just awareness. Now, this time period coming up will show us what's truly important. And things, material things, are going to become much less significant than they ever have been. Instead of buying a new car, we might choose to buy, a small plot of land to grow food on. Or instead of buying a luxury Porsche, one might decide to purchase a large truck or two instead, because the community that he or she lives in will need a way to haul produce from a local farm to help feed their neighborhood. Community is going to be the focus, and random acts of critical, remarkable, outstanding care and kindness is on the horizon. The human experience is on the verge of an incredible transformation, where we'll finally realize that living from the heart is not only more meaningful, but far more enduring than any material possessions, places, or things. Now, with all of that being said, I know getting to this place may feel challenging, but remember, we are creating the story. We are writing it as we go. So if we don't like what we see, we need to do our part in that rewrite. Everyone has a role, a character to play in the story. Only you can determine which character you will play, or how you will actually see the world around you and what you will choose to focus upon. Now, as a collective, this is very important to know, because the more people that choose love, compassion, positivity, and kindness will be the heroes that turn this thriller of a script into the love story that it was actually meant to be. Our thoughts actually do matter. Now, of course, we are human, and there will be days that may become more difficult than others. So, if nothing seems to be working, and you find yourself in a negative, fearful state, filled with things like self-doubt or anger or sadness and so on, remember your divinity and your greater truth. Finding 5 minutes to just tune in to your truth, knowing that you are made of love and are connected to the greater good, the universe and all that is, can fortify you for hours, if not days. As I have mentioned before, even if you find yourself in a neutral space instead of moving upward in consciousness, you will still find your way. Just breathe through it. Everything going on in our world right now, whether it's the outer world or your personal inner world, has meaning and opportunity for us to learn and grow from. Again, you have the choice on how you view every circumstance, every experience. Remember, you are a creator, manifesting the reality that you live in. All of us are. If you catch a cold, you could look at it as getting sick and watch your energy spiral downward. Or you can look at it as a gift that your body is giving you, so you can see that it needs to cleanse something out of your system, because that's actually what a cold or certain things that move through us are, even the flu. It's something that the body's saying, hey, I need to purge this toxin or that toxin out. So here's how, unfortunately, we're going to feel for a little while till we get it out there. If you look at it as a gift that your body is giving you, so you can actually see that it needs to cleanse something out of your system, then be grateful, right? You can just be grateful that a small little sniffle is alerting you to something that you need to focus on. And if you catch it in time, you'll be able to clear it before it even affects you. Now, whether you perceive something as positive or negative, you're going to be absolutely right. So if being right is what you're after, you're going to be right every time. It may not be the truth for others, but it will be your truth. So, of course, these statements may sound odd to those who are just stepping onto a higher path of consciousness, and it truly is part of a much larger conversation that explains many of the things that we're going through on the planet right now. But the important thing here to know is that you have more power and control than you think you do. All of us do. It's easy right now to get caught up in the high strangeness of everything, the fear, a loss of hope, and grave concern. And look, even though I know this stuff, I fall into some of those negative holes too. But I always get myself up when I fall down. No matter how bruised or beaten up I feel, I trust in the higher part of me and my connection to Source, God, Creator, the universe, the great I am. Again, it's how you look at it in your world. This is how I look at it in mine. But I know that I always find my way, and each of you will too. So I know that was a longer message than planned, but I want to switch gears now, and we're going to go from the outside energetics of what's going on in the world and refocus to our internal frequencies that affect our personal energetics and come back to our health kit. So over the past few weeks, we've talked about how to use our own personal empowerment and the world around us to engage several different healing techniques that are all free to access. And of course, I touched upon high frequency foods and spices that we can eat that will help trigger self-healing as well. Now today, I'm going to discuss high frequency essential oils that also have medicinal properties and briefly mention some of the supplements that you might choose to purchase if you are inclined to do so. Obviously, you need money for these, but I wanted to bring these up for those who feel they need supplements to enhance their well-being. If you do all of the free things that I've mentioned previously and your immune system is in really great shape, then you may never need to go down the supplement road. However, I know that many of you have expressed great concern over what's been found in our water, the food, the soil, and the sky. And so when I requested comments from my higher guide teams and source regarding what I should or should not include in the update here, I was asked to put some things together for those who will need these kinds of details. It has also been suggested from my team that if you do have the money to purchase some of these things, getting them now will probably be more important because we may be looking at transportation and purchasing interruptions very shortly. So think about what happened to the distribution cycle during 2019 and 2020. And then what I'm being told is we need to double that shortage in our minds because it's not guaranteed that it would go that route, but the potential is there. So again, no fear. Just think about it. Plan accordingly based on what you need so that you are feeling, again, empowered that you've done something that you feel good about, so that takes anything of worry off your plate. Now, the one thing I have been asked to mention is please do not be a hoarder or think about bulk purchases to resell at a higher price later on to those in need. Honestly, guys, ill or fearful intention will only cause a frequency deficit and possibly a huge personal challenge for you. So remember, in order to receive and build the world that we are hoping for in a 5D reality requires us to be in a much higher frequency. The fifth dimensional landscape is not a place, it's a vibration. And the only path to get there is by way of a raised consciousness. So please keep that in mind as we move into a lot of these things. If there's an old energy kind of playing through you, and if you're thinking about buying things and reselling them later at a much higher cost because you want to make money, I will tell you that will be the one thing that will knock you back probably a few paces. Now, again, it's not a judgment call. I'm just saying it's an observation. We're talking frequency. There's really no judgment in it at all. It's just the way frequencies work. In order to empower your frequencies, you need to think higher, be higher, act higher, etc., etc. Okay? So now let's talk about the high frequency essential oils. What are they? Now, first of all, essential oils, if you really haven't dug into them at all, they've actually been around and used for thousands of years. dating back to ancient civilizations like Egypt and Greece, China, where they were all revered for their healing, cosmetics too, but healing and spiritual benefits. In Egypt, essential oils were an integral part of daily life. They used them for embalming rituals, religious ceremonies, and again, personal care. Oils like frankincense and myrrh, you've probably heard from the Bible and other certainly ancient texts, but they were prized for their ability to preserve the body and actually connect with divine source. The Egyptians also used essential oils for their medicinal properties, blending them into ointments and salves to treat things like wounds or skin conditions and other ailments. And I know in Greece, essential oils were really embraced for their therapeutic value in medicine and aromatherapy. So even Greek physicians like Hippocrates and other very well-known physicians studied the healing effects of various plant oils, using them to actually treat disease, alleviate pain, and boost overall health. Now, the Greeks, much like the Egyptians, also saw that essential oils were kind of a bridge between the physical and the spiritual worlds, incorporating them into rituals and offering to the gods. Across cultures, essential oils were seen as a potent tool for healing the body, the mind, and the spirit. Their use in ancient times actually did lay the foundation for the modern day aromatherapy, where these natural extracts continue to really be of value for restorative and rejuvenating properties. Now, essential oils can be used in a variety of ways, each offering really unique benefits for physical, emotional, and mental well-being. So here are just some of the ways that most common methods that you've probably heard about. There's aromatherapy, which is when you inhale, so that's going to be inhalation. And that's one of the simplest ways to use an essential oil, is to really go through inhalation, either by adding a few drops to a diffuser, humidifier, or even placing the oil on a cotton ball. Inhalation allows the aromatic molecules to be absorbed into the respiratory system, promoting relaxation, mental clarity, or energy, depending on the oil that's used. Popular choices that you'll probably heard about are things like lavender for relaxation or sleep, or maybe even peppermint for kind of boosting focus, energy, and alertness. You can also do a topical application. Now, essential oils can be applied directly to the skin, but they must usually be diluted with a carrier oil. Now, a carrier oil will be something like coconut oil, jojoba oil, or almond oil, but you can also use things like olive oil or even avocado oil. So those types of oils will work. There's a list of them. I'm not going to go through all of them here, but I just want to make sure we briefly at least talk about them. But you always want to look at, if they do need a carrier oil, you must have them, otherwise they can burn the skin. So now this method, as far as a topical application, is especially effective for localized issues like sore muscles, headaches, or skin conditions. So oils that you might have heard of, like tea tree and lavender, are often used for their healing and anti-inflammatory properties, while oils like eucalyptus and peppermint are applied for cooling relief on tired muscles. Now you can add them to a bath, you can add them to a massage. You've probably heard of that. If you've had a massage, you've probably been able to enjoy them. Massage therapy generally uses some sort of an essential oil that combines kind of like the physical touch with the therapeutic oil itself. So when that's mixed with a carrier oil, essential oils can penetrate the skin a little bit differently, and then they both go into providing both relaxation and relief from discomfort. Oils like rosemary or ginger are often used in a massage to relieve tension and usually improve something like circulation. Now you can do things like use them in a compress. So essential oils can be added to warm or cold compresses. So if you're looking for something along those lines, you can look a lot of these things up online. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. I'll give you some areas and where you can find some of these. But a compress is really terrific because you can get into areas where you wouldn't normally with some other things. It can help with headaches and fevers even. Another way to use essential oils would be through things like household use. Now, many essential oils such as lemon, tea tree, and eucalyptus are also used for their antimicrobial and their deodorizing properties. So besides the fact that there's high frequency to them or they're healing, they actually help in all kinds of ways around the house. And they can be added to homemade cleaning products, laundry, or sprayed even into the air to kind of freshen up a space. Now, each method has its own advantage, and the right approach often depends on the specific benefit or the experience that you're actually looking for. Now, for those that have used essential oils before, you will probably know that rose oil is often cited as having one of the highest frequencies that is measured at 320 megahertz. But for those of you who aren't aware, there is one that's higher that they have recorded anyway that we're aware of, and that is the Idaho blue spruce, which has actually been measured at having a frequency of 580 megahertz. Now, I'm sure in the future we'll probably even find more, but here's the main list that you'll come across that we know has been measurable. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I just want you to have the list of them. So you'll see from this list, Idaho blue spruce is going to be the top oil in regards to frequencies. Rose oil, helichrysum, frankincense. You can see all of those there. Now you will see a few that are noted at the bottom there that do not have a measurement in megahertz. However, they are considered to be high frequency oils. There's many reasons for that. But and I'm sure there's, again, a lot more that we don't know about. But I wanted to make sure you were aware because the ones that don't have a measurement, I would still highly recommend to use as if it were, because it more than likely is an actual very high frequency oil. When I measure here from an energetic scale and I use them in different types of things for my clients, they always come out resonating very, very high when I do personal measurements. So I wanted you to be aware of them because they are popular. And if you find them with a recipe, or maybe they're in a recipe, that's always kind of a nice thing to know. And I'll point you kind of in a direction of where to find more of those recipes in a moment. But keep those in mind because they really are quite extraordinary and can help a lot of people based on what you're going through and what you need them for. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are several ways to use oils, but one that I didn't yet discuss has to do with taking them orally or using them in food. Now, some essential oils are safe for ingestion and can be used to enhance the flavor of foods or support overall wellness, but they must be used with caution and in small amounts, okay? Now, popular ingestible oils will include obvious ones like lemon or peppermint and ginger, which can be added to things like water or even tea for digestive support or, just a refreshing flavors. But basil and oregano oils can also be used in cooking, right? So they can be heated back up. And they, of course, would add something like more of an aromatic taste to things like, a sauce or a soup or maybe a dressing. But other ones would be things like cinnamon or vanilla essential oils, as opposed to the flavoring ones that you would get, a liquid flavoring at the store. They're very, very different. It's not the same thing. So just be aware of that. These are really strong and they're going to be pure. So all of these can be used even in baking, desserts, that kind of thing. However, it's really, really, really important to ensure that the essential oils used are of therapeutic, food-grade quality and marked safe for ingestion, because not all the oils out there are good to consume. And even some of the ones that are okay to consume, if they're not of high quality or they're not being monitored or measured correctly, it's going to be a potential issue. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what you are purchasing, okay? So it's important to have quality oils. Buy organic whenever you can find them. That's important too. Read the labels carefully. Absolutely make sure that they are not mixed with anything else. And again, are 100% pure. It might say pharmaceutical grade, but it also might say therapeutic grade. Always follow proper dilution guidelines if you're following a recipe, and consult a healthcare professional if you are unsure, okay? Now, most people don't realize that these oils have been around, again, since the beginning of time. Our ancestors used them for not just medicine, but surgery even. If you look back, you'll find some fascinating stories, as I kind of mentioned earlier. But our modern society, our modern medicine today, believe it or not, is actually, most of it is a synthetic copy that originated from many of the ones that we're talking about. So your body knows how to heal. It knows how to use these natural components properly and quickly. It just needs the right recipe, right? Your body needs that right recipe, the right ingredients and the right frequency to do so. Now, as I mentioned in the last update, I am putting together some of the health kit protocols in a PDF that you can download for free on my Insight Energetics website. Now, this way you will have them at your fingertips to kind of help guide you along. Now, while I won't post it here in the video, I will make sure to include a recipe for one of the main anointing oils from biblical times. Now, the one I will give you is mentioned in the Torah, in the Bible, as well as ancient texts. Energetically speaking, I can tell you that there does appear to be some alchemical properties that seem to occur when certain oils are mixed together. I've personally found that even high frequencies, or higher frequencies, I should say, tend to show up when certain oils are mixed with others. So it's quite extraordinary how Mother Nature has so much to teach us by using the planetary gifts that we've been given that grow from the ground. I will obviously leave a link to my website in the description box so you can sign up to get that PDF. But in the meantime, I would also suggest that you head over to the Wonders website, as they have posted, I think there's over 100 essential oil healing recipes that are there that you can also access for free. What's great about that is they have things listed as, for a headache or back pain or whatever it is that you might need it for. They're listed there. So you could get some of these oils based on a recipe that you're already going to need, and then just use them as you need to when you need them in the future. All right, so let's jump to the long-awaited supplement list, right?